Welcome back to the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. So today we're actually going to get loaded up and go over to the 100 acres. So we're going to take the flat deck trailer, take the small tractor, and get the otter loaded up and head over and probably cut some trees down and see what else we can get done today. It's supposed to warm up to just above freezing today, so it'd be a nice day. Ground's still pretty frozen though, so we'd be able to get around and not make too much of a mess. But it's finally comfortable enough out to where you can do some stuff outside. Before, whenever it was in the single digits and the wind chill below freezing, just wasn't comfortable to even be out. So we're gonna head over and do that today. Today will be the first day that we hook the trailer up and pull equipment with the new truck with the Ruby. So get that hooked up and see how it does. We've hooked it up once before. You saw the video getting the totes. We did do that, but that was just the trailer with a few totes on it, so not really any significant weight there. So get this loaded up and have a little bit of weight behind it and see how it does pulling that. So I'm gonna get the tractor started up, get it ready. So just kind of a quick getting it ready here. So for getting it ready, basically we leave the grader box on all the time, unless we have some other project that we're going to do. But you can see we still have the snowplow on from before. So basically, I don't think I showed this before, but we have the standard mount that would go like on the truck. We just bolt it into the bucket and then use the pins there. So we have a spot over to the side where go ahead and get this taken out, take out the bracket, and then like we have one of the front tires doesn't want to stay aired up, so get some air in it. But I'm gonna go ahead and get it started so that it can run for a bit, since it is chilly out here and the old engine likes to warm up quite a bit before you start moving it, get the hydraulics warmed up a little bit. So I'll do that, get this unhooked, tops it up with diesel fuel, stuff like that, and then we'll work on getting everything rounded up that we need to take over. So the tractor's warming up. I'm gonna go ahead and get the truck ready here. So I don't know if I've shown this in the past, but basically the way that the new Chevys work is you have these little plates that cover the holes that go in. We have a bed liner in here, so you can see it's a little off. Bed liner actually needs to be scooted back to kind of help things line up a little bit. But basically, you just have these little tabs. Little tabs that you just kind of bend and then they pop out. Like I said, I need to take and I'll scoot that bed mat back before I do another one, but basically these just come out, we store them in the toolbox, and then in the toolbox we keep the kit, fifth wheel or gooseneck, and basically just have the two safety chains and then the ball. So I grease that ball, so I just put this over it, so every time it's in here you don't get this case all nasty, but then also you can grab it, put it in, and not have your hand covered in grease. But basically the way these work is like a two-piece system. So you have a little clip and then this that just drops through this hole. So it's a turn system, so it has kind of this on the side, so you put it in lined up, you turn, and like I said, and you scoot that back. But you then drop this through and then put this through, and it locks it in so it can turn a little bit, has a little bit of play, but it can't come out. For the ball, here, let me scoot this back. Alright, so I got the rest of these exposed, just used my pocket knife to kind of pop them up. Normally not that difficult, but it being cold out, plastic's just a little bit stiffer. So you put that one in, same method as that one. So I'll kind of show you on the ball how it works. So basically there's a couple of bearings down at the bottom. So like right now it won't fall down. So take that off. So you have this little piece right here that flips up and turns. So by turning that, it allows the bearings to come in, and then whenever it's down and it's in its groove, you can turn this back and put it down, and now it can't lift out. It has a little bit of play in it, but it's not going to go, I mean there's a little bit of rock back and forth, but it's not going to go anywhere. But it is nice because it's built into the frame of the truck. It's, you know, centered over the wheels, so you have the correct weight distribution and everything, so that part's nice. Go ahead and get that other one in, and then I'll finish getting everything hooked up, or you know, picked up, and then we'll get the trailer hooked up here in a bit. So one thing we did, making it a little bit easier / lazy for picking the feet up and down, is made an adapter that goes on the shaft to, we have a whole hog, Milwaukee whole hog, so we just made the adapter here so you can spin these up and down pretty quick. I don't think I've ever shown how we actually load up, but this is kind of the best way we found, definitely with this tilt bed. And it was actually frozen down, we haven't used it a whole lot, so we had to use the tractor to get it picked up. But we can back the tractor on, grader box fits right up there, and then pull the auger on so that the wind is hitting the windshield up against. And this load here is pretty evened out with the weight and everything, so it works really well for hauling both of these pieces over to the 100 acres. So use ratchet binders on the tractor, and then just have some ratchet straps that we use to tie the auger down. Made it out here to the 100 acres, so I got unloaded. So we're back here between, so that's the 8, and that's the path that goes down the hill back to the food plot. Behind me, we have the path that goes up to the 1000. So you can see this is the path that we made that comes down, and kind of you can see the tire tracks now. Kind of goes up. Well, it's kind of an unnatural down and around, and really need to take this sycamore out and that tree next to it so that we can kind of ramp this and just go right over top of it. And what we'll do is, we don't want a big hole here, so we'll probably cut it down, and then maybe take the stump grinder and stump grind. Or we may be able to just get it close enough to the ground where we just cover over it. So we can kind of straighten all this out and make it a nice path. So that's kind of the goal of today, is just to identify trees that need to come down. The ground's nice and solid. We have the auger and the small tractor here. So like anything we can get sawmill logs out of, we obviously will. And the other thing is we're kind of looking down our lane for our targets, and just as you can kind of see here, things kind of start to grow up, and the the trajectory of the bullets and stuff, kind of arc. And if you're shooting at something, or if you're trying to get something behind me at like the 1,000, then the bullets are going to be up in the air. And there's just a lot of stuff for us to hit essentially right now. So I want to start opening this up a little bit. And like right now, with all the leaves off, it's really not too bad as far as getting to the targets. It's more whenever all the leaves start coming back, things get full, and makes it much more difficult. So I'm going to try to identify some of the ones that have kind of some bullet marks in it, so we know that they've been hit before, and start getting some of that stuff cleaned out. Now's a good time, with none of the leaves on. We'll be able to get it paired out. A lot of the tops we'll probably just leave, in the woods for now. And then again, anything that's either firewood or that we can mill, we'll go ahead and get pulled out. So I'll probably end up going and getting the trailer for the logs, so we can get those out while the ground's nice and frozen. But to start with, just got this back here. So we did bring the winch and everything so we can pull stuff on. But with the small tractor here, we can also get stuff on that way. So I'm going to start with this one. It's a little bit bigger than I remember, but we'll be able to get it in the small one next to it, and just start identifying trees and getting some stuff pared down. So I was on the otter most today, so I don't have footage of everything, but got this maple tree cut and got it pulled out with the otter. And then while I was pulling this back, that actually got that sycamore cut down, so whenever I head back with the trailer, I get that picked up, so I don't actually have footage of it getting cut down, but that's what he did while I was getting this out of the woods. This is small enough, and the ground is pretty frozen that didn't have too much issue getting this drug out and causing any kind of disturbance with the ground or the gravel. So just pulled it over to another long piece we had going, and then got hooked up to the log trailer and get it pulled back over to where we're working and get it backed up to that sycamore. I think this is the first time we've taken the log trailer this far back in the woods, so kind of got it weaved through everything and then figured out kind of how I needed to get back in there. So with the different paths and everything, we have kind of enough room now to where we can get backed in. So we cut everything into 12 to 13 foot sections. That seems to be a pretty good number for this trailer where it can pull it. Still a little back heavy on some of those, but it's pretty evened out with that. Forgot to grab the small ratchet binder and chain, but we're able to just put the hook on there just so it doesn't slide off the back, and kind of take the route here by the food plot. It's a little bit flatter, so we only have kind of one major hill to go through instead of the other where it's constantly up and down. Have a little bit more chance of losing stuff whenever you go out that other direction. And then here went by the area that we cleaned out for the septic, kind of up the hill there, and then get pulled over to the wood yard just to try to keep all this stuff together. Essentially what I'm trying to do here is use the logs that are currently kind of there to hook to pull the log out. Just trying to hopefully was hoping I could just kind of get it pushed off, but it was heavy enough that that wasn't gonna just push off. So got a chain hooked up there and then able to just pull forward and get it off. Go into a little bit more explanation of that later on. And then here I'm getting the cable unhooked since it was under the log, and headed back out to pick up another load. So I got the other couple of logs from that sycamore moved up. So basically just put the cable in the middle so that you can suspend it, and then get them pushed on the rest of the way there. Then I remembered to grab a ratchet strap, so I go ahead and get that strapped down. So here we come up to about the 700. See, the tractor's having some issue getting up that hill. Finally got it up, but identified another tree here that was kind of in the lane, so he works on getting that one, another small one, cut down while I go get rid of these two. So I was hoping that that one log would be heavy enough and kind of frozen in place enough to be able to get those pulled off. It wasn't, so I ended up having to kind of change direction. And then again, just backing over to get that pulled out from under the logs. So here I came around so that I was pointing the correct direction. So there's the two logs you got down from the tree kind of back toward the 700. Wasn't a very big one, but there's one log, that one there that we're getting loaded on now is pretty straight, and we'll make some good lumber. Getting these pulled out, so basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep all the logs kind of together. So I'm just chaining to a log that's over here that I can kind of get to, that's hopefully heavy enough to get these pulled off. So I'm trying to do that and then kind of keep them here. So we got some sycamores out. These are red oak. One of those is probably just firewood. It's got quite a bit of knots in it. This one makes some really good lumber here. So right now this is all kind of mixed together. Eventually I want to get the 62 over here with the grapple, and just kind of start sorting stuff out. So have a pile that's specifically firewood, have a pile that's millable logs, so that way we kind of know what we truly have in each, because right now with it all jumbled up, some of them it's obvious, that one that's got the big crook in it, obviously going to be firewood, but then other ones you just don't know as well. So eventually it'd be nice to get this sorted out, but right now just getting it all here, and have stuff that we pulled out. So Dad's getting another oak cut down now, and then we'll go get that. There's one more piece of this tree that we're going to pull out, probably just firewood. It's small enough that we normally wouldn't mess with it, but since this is nice red oak, we're going to take the time to get what we can out of that, and then just leave the top in one of the hollers. So anyway, so that's kind of the game plan, what we're doing. Again, this is to kind of get stuff out that has bullet holes in it. So if this gets flipped around and I can find it, Dad said that there's a couple of spots where it's skimmed, where it's obviously you know, had scar marks on the side of it where we've been hitting it and stuff hasn't been making it to the target. So so that's kind of what we're doing here. Hopefully I'll be able to find that and I'll show you guys. Okay, so for anyone who's been keeping a tally, have those 4, that one, I'm not gonna count that short little one, so 5, that big one 6, and one of those 7. That one I didn't put on the trailer, I just pulled out, but these 7 have all come out of the woods so far today. Still have one that we dropped that didn't, like, fell in a hole, so it's gonna need the 62 to get it out. There's still a lot of kind of remnants of snow and some stuff packed back there, so as soon as you try to start pulling, it's just pulling the tractor sideways and everything. So the rest of the snow gone and the 62 will be able to get that big thing pulled out. There's a really good section in there that'll be good firewood, and then a really nice section of lumber for the sawmill. So we're getting those. We have 3 poplars, or 3 maples that we're going to get out next. They all have marks in them where it's obviously been skimmed. So one of them has some sycamore stuff up against it from a limb that fell. Gonna get that cleaned up, and then gonna work on getting those dropped. One of them we may be able to get out. The other 2 again are gonna be in a ravine. We could probably fashion a way with the winch and the tractor and everything to get those out, but as long as we get those out with the 62 before stuff really starts growing back up, it won't be that big of a deal. So we'll probably just leave those for now and see what else needs to get cut down, and then one of the days we bring the 62, we'll just make it a project and a goal to get those out so that they don't just rot in the woods, since they could be good wood. So we'll see what else we get out and get those cut down next. So we'll keep chugging away and getting some stuff cleaned up for that lane, so that we can actually tell hits whenever bullets are going down range. So this next one here was a little bit of a booger, so it didn't want to fall. It started to fall kind of where we wanted it to, and didn't get cut through in one spot, and it kind of twisted. So then to do this finish cut that he did, kind of fell into another tree, and then ended up having to continue to take pieces off before we finally got it on the ground. Kind of in doing all that, didn't get it actually on the ground, video of it on the ground. You can see it gets stuck in that tree there after everything kind of finishes, falling down. So I ended up having to cut about halfway up that tree a couple times before we finally get it down, and then can pull it out. So it ended up being a little bit of a chore, definitely with the small tractor and not really being able to pull like I mentioned before. It became a bigger issue than it should have been, but here you can see kind of got some area cleaned out here so that we could get up. So it wasn't completely unattached here, so got it unattached from the stump, and then it still wouldn't move at all, so ended up going and just using the bucket as essentially a ladder, get some of that cut, put some wedges in it, and even with that being cut through like 90% of the way, tried to bump it so that it would kind of fall. And again, this is where I didn't get as much video of that, just because it was kind of a pain to get video while doing all that, because we kind of had to keep going back and forth. But there you can see we got it down the one part, and then just kind of kept getting pieces cut off, and then there we actually got it pulled out and see it on the ground there. So then we get it loaded up so that we can get this pulled up to the log yard. So here we had a couple of smaller pieces, so go ahead and just get those set on top. As I mentioned before, getting some sideboards for this would really help, just so we don't have anything get into tires, but able to get all the logs organized there fairly well so that they would sit on. And then just put a strap there on the back so that we didn't lose anything. And kind of looking to identify which trees we're going to tackle next. So our trailer is fairly well balanced. It's almost too well balanced to where you know, there's quite a bit of weight on the back of the trailer, and it causes it to bounce up and down on the hitch of the otter. We really need to make a shim for the otter receiver, because it does have a little bit of play in it, which can kind of allow it to bounce. It wouldn't surprise me if in the near future we don't have to kind of reinforce the receiver on the otter. We do quite a bit with it, probably more than is really intended, but it should be pretty easy to reinforce and kind of get so that we don't have that issue. So this is why this trailer is so nice, is because like we have 4 logs on there, 2 long ones, a couple of short ones, and has no issue pulling all that out. It's all just maple, but it still does a really good job. Keep talking, we're gonna make side walls for this, just so like the small stuff you can go a little bit more on, and that way you don't have stuff sliding into the tire down here. So those pockets are in there, so keep everything kind of within the bounds and not any chance of getting into the tires. But just gonna kind of show you real quick how I've been getting these off. So I have a chain wrapped around this big log that's on the ground, and then just take one of the chokers around whatever mess I have, and then give it a quick pull. And once you get it to start moving with that poly on the bottom, it slides right off, but it's just kind of getting that initial. As long as you don't have any knots or anything that are pointed down to where they're going to get stuck, then it works really well, and not too bad. And then typically I can kind of back up and bump it with the trailer just enough to get this loosened up enough to be able to get it undone. So that's kind of the method to the madness on how we've been doing this. Eventually we'll have something more, I guess, permanent where you can do this, or we'll have more machines here, to where we'll have one tractor in the woods and we'll have another one out here, to where you can just pull them off and it won't be as big a deal. But this is working in the meantime. And then I did find on this one, so you can see here these scars, and I think maybe a little bit, that one maybe not, I think that one may be from like a cable, but these definitely, the way they're inset, and if you dig in there, this one looks like it may still have a bullet in there, and then this one's obviously just a great a glancing blow, so you can definitely tell that it's had some pretty good spots. And then this one here, you can see how it's just nicked it. So that's the reason why for our long range activities, why we're getting these down, is because we're getting hits in the trees instead of the steel. Big piece of steel back here and all welded up. So I just backed in this a little bit. That loosens up this whole mess here, so I can pop that off. I may have to take that hook and pull it out this way, because that is the one bad thing about the chokers. You have to have a spot underneath for the pressed on piece on the end to get through. But I think we're gonna wait on the 2 bigger maples that I talked about before. We're gonna do a smaller one, and it'll be good enough for firewood. So I have one more spot here where I can can back the trailer in here, and then pull off one more set. And then again, whenever we get, like the other tractor would be able to scoot some of these around, and then the grapple, well, you can sort out kind of the mess. So running tally now, I'll count those 2 as 1, just because of how we ended up having the cut. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've gotten 12 pulled out today, and adding to our wood yard that doesn't really need to be added to right now, but you know, it's kind of one of those things with clearing. You're always going to have stuff that needs to be picked up. So again, we'll get this sorted out to firewood and what we want for the sawmill. That way, you know, some afternoon or evening I can come over and just saw up wood, and then I could bring the dump trailer, fill up the dump trailer, and we have friends and stuff that need firewood, that they split wood and everything, but we could get it cut up and go dump it at their house, and save them a little bit of time on you know, the cutting up part, but then you know, they just have to go through and split it. So that'd be you know, really helpful for them. And it's one of those things, we don't want the wood to go to waste either. So, you know, I sell what I can, and you know, make a little bit, but you know, my whole thing isn't trying to make a living off of firewood. You know, I sell because of the abundance, but if I have friends and stuff that need firewood, then I have no issue, you know, kind of giving it away either. So anyway, I'm gonna get this wrapped up. We got one more I think we're gonna do, and then we're gonna play with the slingshot thing I've been talking about. I'm not gonna actually use it in a tree, but we're gonna go to the open spot over by the pond, over by the swing set, and where the picnic shelter is gonna go, and kind of play with it there, just so we can kind of see how it works. And this is a location where I really need a 360 camera. Basically, have a small tree hooked up to the front, because everything's kind of getting a little soft now, and with a little bit of ice on top. Having issues pulling just that little log out. So basically just had the hooked up to the tractor, or hooked up to the auger, and then using the tractor to pull the whole thing up the hill. So this is about the last load that we do, or this is the last load that we do, and mainly it's just kind of from everything starting to thaw out. There's a little bit of ice on top, so it's kind of making getting stuff pulled out a little bit of a pain. And you can see the areas where the sun's getting to it. It clears out pretty fast, but everything else still has just a little bit of snow on it. Okay, so you can kind of see my carousel here of trees from getting them pulled off. So I have one over here that I got today, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I got these 15 pulled out of the woods today. This is a perfect example of why we made the trailer. Just getting one of these out at a time would have been a pain, plus it'd mess up all the gravel. So, you know, being able to do 3, 4 at a time, definitely what we're after. So, worked as we expected. So we're gonna park it over here, and we're gonna play with the thing next, and I'll try to show some of that coming up. In the little pouch here, and it's hooked up to a string, and basically you launch it up into a tree so it will go up and over. We're just gonna play with it here by the pond and see what it does. We ended up getting the one where it has like a trigger, so that basically you hook it and then release it, so that, you know, it's more like we're kind of used to. Also, it's just a holding mechanism, since it's kind of a pain to get that drawn all the way down there. So we'll see how this does. So from this video, it's kind of hard to see, but basically we got it loaded and then chuck the rock, and it throws it well above the trees. And it's going to be a very handy feature whenever it comes to you know, getting stuff into trees. So thank you for watching the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.